Why do people insist to turn any bad event that's ever happened in history into a conspiracy? You know, like anytime a war breaks out, a disease spread, the economy shifts, a famous person dies, you know, their first reaction is to go right into, you know, to conspiracy and how it was orchestrated from the beginning. You know, like COVID-19 and the death of Kobe Bryant are great examples that happened recently, where people immediately went to, you know, secret societies and how it was all planned and all that. You know, the internet is infected with thousands of theories on them, as well as other crazy conspiracy theories like, you know, chemtrails, where rich people are spraying the air we all breathe, you know, including their own, just to kill people. And what? I don't understand. Or, you know, good old flat earth theory, where we're being lied to about the shape of our planet to disorient us from the reality so that they can manipulate and control us. Whatever. You know, it's the people who are overly neurotic and creative who come up with it. You know, you can see it more in the, you know, super skeptical and paranoid, but it's really their ignorance that allows it, right? Like, I imagine it comes from people's complete unawareness of the chaos of the universe, right? People die all the time. Plague spread, famine starve people, helicopters crash, huge rocks fall from the sky, you know, occasionally, and wipe a species away. Shit happens. Our cosmos is hell-bent on destroying us. You know, death is the one certainty in life. It's inevitable. Yet, it is on the top list of the taboo concepts that people don't want to talk about. You know, many of us sometimes have like an overly optimistic point of view of the cosmos, but are strangely occupied by the evils that humans are capable of. There are too many occurrences in the history to doubt the existence of it, but to assume that all gruesome events are man-made is just narrow-minded thinking. Yes, there's murders and bombings, and ships are sunk, events are staged, politicians are being bribed all the time. You know, there are still events that we can imagine as evil, but aren't because they're not caused by human forces, like hurricanes, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, tornadoes, meteor crashes, droughts, accidents, pandemics. So like COVID-19 is currently being looked at by people imagining it was on purpose, which is possible, but not necessarily need to be the most likely cause for it. COVID-19 is the fourth coronavirus in the last 20 years. You know, 100 years ago, the world was hit with the Spanish flu. 700 years ago was the bubonic plague, which killed like 60% of the European population. And the plague had another small outburst 30 years ago. Like, these are common occurrences. It does not mean to not take them seriously or to not carry on cautiously. It's just to jump to the conclusions that many of these conspiracy theorists have jumped to is erratic. Like, it's misleading, it's ignorant. And erratic, misleading, ignorant actions are not productive and instead can be destructive. It's more likely that a disease could spread on its own than it having to be created and then intentionally spread, you know, because there's been millions of epidemics. Yet there are people right now that don't believe in the pandemic and that we don't need to have a lockdown, but instead believe the virus is being spread by 5G cellular waves. Yes. So instead of, hey, sometimes diseases spread that kill people and we have no control over it, there are people who prefer to believe that there is a select few intentionally spreading it because they're evil and they want to control us. You know, as if it's more believable that cellular waves can inflict flu-like symptoms than believing that taking in someone else's coughs and sneezes can transmit a disease that results you into coughing and sneezing. First, it's such an insane train of thought. There must be an explanation on why people choose to think this way. It requires so much more effort and is much more stressful to live that way. Are they all crazy? I don't think so, but I do imagine there's a group that just has no logical reasoning for believing what they believe, and instead are just unstable. You know, calling someone crazy can be dismissive and it can be a lazy argument, but there are crazy people who, because of their higher levels of paranoia, will believe anything if the points are strung together in a convincing manner. And by creating a narrative that, you know, they are out to get us and they don't want us to know the truth, fits much more seamlessly to the general narrative that they live in. However, there are other reasons. I imagine some of these people believe this because, you know, they think that the universe, or whatever they believe in, is completely benevolent. And possibly it's easier on the mind to think the universe is in order and would never do anything to harm us, and it is only the people we need to worry about, because I guess it's less stressful, so they look for the people to point the finger at. that the earth and the safe, cozy existence we're living in would never allow it, and that it must therefore be the result of nefarious plotting instead. Now, lack of control and uncertainty can be terrifying, so it makes sense that they would rather lean towards thinking, hey, the world is perfectly fine, it's these people we need to watch out for, and this is why these bad things are happening, because otherwise these bad things would never happen. Now, I imagine another group of people might also do it as an excuse. Like an excuse to give up. Instead of working hard and striving for the future they dream of, it's easier to think there's a group of evil people running the world, keeping us down, than to put in the hard work and pursue the futures that we want. That way they can just say to themselves it's all pointless and just continue to live the way they're living their lives and essentially pin the blame on the secret society instead of taking the blame and the responsibility to get their lives where it needs to be. Others probably listen in just for fun or just because they have a healthy amount of skepticism. Sure, we don't know it all. We are ignorant to much of the information out there, but time and thought can be better used on more productive things, which includes toppling true nefarious conspiracies too, I guess. But either way, proceed with caution. Sure, these things are possible, but if they are not any more apparent than these other models of reality, why shape our lives around it? Fear is useful, but not without awareness. We can't know it all. We cannot see 100 to 1,000 years at a time. We're stuck in the moment and only can see so far. Just don't believe just anything you see and hear. Be more aware of why you think the way you do and stop scaring yourself. And maybe sometimes shit happens.